What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be walking you through how to install the Mavericks Gold Master on your Hackintosh. Now I do want to say that this is going to be very similar to a video that I've done in the past, and that was how to install the Mavericks Developers Preview. Now I know a lot of you guys are just like me and want to always get your hands on the latest and greatest operating system, but then again I know there's also a lot of you out there that also want to wait for a steady version of OS X to be released before messing with it. That's very understandable, and now that the GM is here, which is for all intents and purposes the final version of Mavericks that will be launched on launch day, I feel that it's very safe for pretty much anybody to go out and upgrade to Mavericks. Now if you're one of those people and you've been waiting this long, then it might be worth it to wait a little longer, because as soon as it comes out, Tony Mac is going to release an updated version of Unibeast that'll do this entire video in one swoop step, and it's going to be awesome. But for those out there that just want it right now, or that just want to learn a few things about how OS X works or how to prepare a installation drive manually, this is going to be that video for you guys. And I also want to say really quick that I know that there's utilities out there right now that can do this. For example, MyHack. I have used MyHack and I just don't like it, mainly because it adds things to the installation. It adds their own app. It adds these really random kernel extensions that frankly just aren't really needed. And so I feel that that's kind of leaning more towards a distribution, and that's just something that I've never promoted on this channel and something that I don't want to do. I like to keep my installs as vanilla as possible, and by following this method, this is as vanilla as you can possibly get it in the Hackintosh world. So I do know that applications like MyHack do exist, however I just choose not to use them, and I think that's the best way to do it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. The first thing we're going to need out of the 4, which I'll go through all of them really quick here, you will need obviously the GM of Mavericks. I'm not going to link you guys where to download this. The internet is definitely your friend. Pretty easy to find nowadays. You're also going to need a copy of Chimera. At the point of this video, at the time of this recording, the latest version is 2.2.1. This is capable of booting Mavericks. That's a key difference from my developer preview video. Next up, you're going to need an application called Show Hidden Files. You're going to need this to actually prepare the installation drive, and then of course we're going to need to do some post installation, which I won't do too much in this video because it's different for every single system. Last but not least, we're going to use Pacifist to extract the mock kernel from our install ESD to place on the root of our installation media in order to get it to boot. But of course we'll get a little bit more into that in just a minute. The last thing we're going to need is some kind of installation media. As you can see right here, I have a 16 gigabyte flash drive. You can also use a hard drive partition. I definitely recommend using a flash drive just because it's mobile. You can take it to multiple machines a lot easier than a hard drive, and you can use either or, but just make sure that it's at least 8 gigabytes in size, and also that before you go on with this process, anything that's on there is backed up because you will lose everything in this process. And now that you have everything you need, we can go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is open up Disk Utility, and we're going to format the installation media. So as you can see on the left here, I do have my flash drive. We're going to erase. We want it Mac OS Extended Journaled. I'm just going to leave the name. The name will change later. I'll get a little bit more into that. And now just click Erase. As you can see, Disk Utility is done doing its thing. So I'm going to close Disk Utility and come back in that Mavericks folder. And now what we want to do is run this Show Hidden Files. So this is very easy to do. There's also a terminal command for this, but I just think the application makes life much easier. And now what we want to do is come over here to this Install OS X Mavericks. We're going to right click, Show the Package Contents, Contents, Shared Support, and now in this folder we have install esd.dmg. Go ahead and mount that. We're going to skip that process. And now when you open this up, this right here is why we had to show the hidden files. These 3 are invisible, but the one we need is basesystem.dmg. Now what we're going to do is right click and we're going to open that. Now that this has been mounted, I'm going to open up Disk Utility one last time. We're going to navigate to our flash drive. This time we're going to click on the Restore tab, and we're going to drag this OS X base system flash drive as the destination, and we're going to click Restore. And it's going to copy the contents of the base system right onto the flash drive. So of course right here we're going to enter our extremely secure password. So this should take, I would say, 4 to 5 minutes, so I'm just going to let it do its thing. So Disk Utility is finished doing its thing, and as you can see, this popped up 2 windows, both titled the same thing. What this did is it actually copied the name of the base system onto the flash drive since we cloned it. So now you have 2 volumes called OS X base system. Now we can just go ahead and close out of these windows. We really don't need them. Also, I'm going to close out of Disk Utility. We're going to move these off to the side. Now it's really handy if you have your Finder configured the way I do. On the desktop, you can hit the shortcut Command J, and this will bring up your options here. And I have checked to show the item info, and that right here shows that the capacity and what's available of each device. Now this OS X base system is only 1.25 gigabytes, and this one is that 16 gigabyte flash drive. I can distinguish that very easily. So we don't get confused in the upcoming steps, I'm going to call this Mavericks Installer. Now that I've renamed that, I'm going to go and close out of this, and I'm going to open up the flash drive. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of this window, and we're going to open up that install ESD. And take note of this packages folder here. Right now, I'm going to copy this to my clipboard, and on the Mavericks installer, we're going to open up System, Installation, and right here there's a packages alias. What this is doing on a regular Mac, it would hit this at the base system and redirect this on the packages so that this big packages folder, and I say big because it's 4.8 gigabytes, this is put over here so it's not taking space up in the actual base system. Now, since we're on a Hackintosh and we don't like to do things by the book, this actually will not work in the installation. So we're going to delete the packages alias and instead replace it with the real packages folder. Like I said, this is a 4.8 gigabyte folder, so this will take a few minutes to copy depending on the speed of your flash drive. Alright, now that we've copied that packages folder, we can go ahead and close up all these crazy directories here. I'm also going to hide the special files because I just think it makes things more cluttered, and not really sure why that spat all those windows back up at me. But regardless, we're going to go back into that GM folder, and now our installation drive needs a bootloader. That's what this Chimera is for. So we're going to double click Chimera. We're going to continue and of course agree to the awesome terms here. And before you click install, bear in mind that this is currently pointing to wherever you're booted from right now. We want to change the install location to where we need it to be, which is in my case the Mavericks installer. So I'm going to click continue, install, put in that extremely secure password, and now that the bootloader is done installing, we have two more steps. The second to last thing we're going to need to do is copy the mock kernel from the Mavericks installer onto the root of our installation drive. So in order to do this, we're going to use that pacifist application, which once again I have right down here in my applications folder. Of course, I don't want to check for updates automatically. And this is a free program to use, but you can pay the developer $20 right here, so I'm sure that helps the guy out. But for me right now, I'm just going to click Not Yet. So here we have our pacifist window, and this is actually a pretty easy step. All we're going to do is we're going to click Open Package, and we're going to browse right here to the OS X install ESD. We're going to click the packages directory and look for base system binaries.pkg. We're going to open this with pacifist, and right here we're going to see mock kernel. Now I'm going to click the extract to, and we're going to find the root of the installation drive, which in my case is Mavericks installer, and it's going to put that mock kernel right here, and that's exactly where we want it. So we're just going to select choose, extract, put in that extremely secure password of ours. Once that's done, you can open up your installer to verify that it actually did place it there, and as you see right here, we have mock kernel. So now we can close that up, close out of pacifist, and move on. So right here within the Mavericks GM folder, I've added two new things. We have an extensions folder as well as an OS install folder. The first thing we're going to do is the extensions. And in this extensions folder, we have fake SMC and null CPU power management. These are two very, very popular kernel extensions in the Hackintosh world, and well, that's because they're very important. So all we're going to do to install these kernel extensions is open up the installer, navigate to System, Library, tap E to get you right to extensions, and within there we're going to copy and paste these. Now that those two kernel extensions have been installed, we're going to come back, and now I'm going to go to the OS install folder. From what I found, this next step could depend on your hardware. Right now, before doing this next step, you can put that drive in your computer and see if it'll boot and let you install, but me personally, it would not work on my little Haswell system here. I actually got an error in the installer saying that OS X could not be installed on this computer, and that's because of the osinstall.mpkg file. So after a quick Google search, I found a pre-modified one by the kind folks at OS 1086 forums. And so I'll simply be copying and pasting these to their respective directories. Now these respective directories I mentioned are actually right back here within the system folder. So from the root, system, installation, packages. Now really quick, you can hit OS and that'll take you right to this. I would copy and paste this to the desktop or somewhere that you can back it up just in case. And now after you've done that, I'm going to copy and paste this guy right over. Once you've copied and pasted that, we're going to head back two directories back into the system folder. From here, we're going to go into library. You could type PR to get you down to private frameworks. From there, type IN, that'll get you to install.framework. Go in there, frameworks, osinstall.framework, versions, A. And then there's this blank install file here. Go ahead and copy and paste that. With those modifications done, we're now ready to boot up the installation drive. Proceed with the installation by booting from your newly created installation drive. Depending on your system, you may need to enter additional kernel flags. However, I was able to boot just fine using only a verbose boot. Once you get to the installation menu, simply navigate through all the terms and open up Disk Utility. If you haven't already, you'll need to partition your target drive as an OS extended journaled partition. Now you're free to select your target drive and perform the installation. Once the installation is completed, you'll need to boot back into the installer and this time open up a terminal window. What we're going to be doing here is copying the fake SMC text from the flash drive into the extensions folder of our new installation. It's worth mentioning that this can be accomplished even easier if you have another installation of OS X that you can boot into. For this video, I did these terminal commands while booted into my OS X installation to achieve the best video quality. Since you'll likely be entering this command from the installer, there's no need to use the sudo command as I have here. The first command you'll want to type out is diskutil list. This will list out all the active hard drives and partitions on your system. The two drives you want to target are the installation drive you're currently booted into, as well as the new installation you just created. In my case, Mavericks installer and Hackintosh SSD. We can copy the fake SMC kernel extension recursively by entering the following terminal command: cp space -r space / volumes with a capital V / the name of your installer drive, in my case Mavericks installer, / system with a capital S / library with a capital L / extensions with a capital E / single quotation mark fake SMC with a capital F and a capital SMC dot text end single quotation space / volumes with a capital V / the name of your target installation drive, in my case Hackintosh SSD / system with a capital S / library with a capital L / extensions with a capital E /. Assuming you entered the command correctly, you should receive no errors and are free to reboot. Since the installation currently doesn't have a bootloader on it, we will once again need to boot into the USB installer drive, and from there we can select our new installation. Although your system may be different, I needed the -X kernel flag to boot up successfully. And with that said, welcome to Mavericks. Feel free to run multi-beast and select what your particular system needs, and before you know it, you'll have a fully functional Mavericks installation. If this video helped you out, feel free to go at that like button. I'm at CPUKid on Twitter. Also be sure to check out roachtechnology.com, and I hope to see you guys back here very soon for some more Haswell and Mavericks content.